Coming to you live from the TSTV studio, it's Late Night Review with Kate Salkowitz and Jack Overbeck.
Good evening and welcome to Late Night Review, where we talk about what's happening
and what's not.
I'm Jack Overbeck.
I'm Kate Salkowitz, and here are tonight's top stories. The anonymous New York Times op-ed titled, "I am part of the resistance inside the Trump administration," has captured headlines in recent weeks. The author claims that senior officials in the White House have been thwarting Mr. Trump's more misguided impulses until he is out of office. And by that, one can only hope that means hiding the nuclear launch codes somewhere that he'd never find them, like in the fridge behind the lettuce.
Many are speculating that the anonymous author may be Vice President Mike Pence, due to the article's use of the word lodestar, which Pence uses often in speeches. I can't even imagine what Trump is more mad about right now. The notion that his own VP might be working against him, the fact that he had to read the failing New York Times, or that he just has no earthly idea what the word lodestar means.
A new sexual wellness brand is rising in popularity with the spiritual community. The company Shock Rub sells dildos and other sex toys made entirely out of healing crystals. Okay, how are you going to sell penis-shaped crystals and not call your brand Cock Rocks? Now, you've heard of Cock Rocks. Get ready for Cop Rocks. It's just a pile of gravel that shoots an unarmed black teenager.
Texas conservatives and right-wing pundits are in an uproar over an upcoming appearance by Willie Nelson at a Beto O'Rourke rally in Austin, threatening to boycott Willie Nelson's music. First Ford, then Nike, now Willie Nelson? Soon enough, the far right will be left with nothing but potato sack dresses and chill lo-fi beats to study and relax to.
In a New York Daily News op-ed last week, Barbara Rez, a former longtime executive for the Trump Organization, alleged that Trump ordered an architect to remove the Braille from the elevators in Trump Tower, which is illegal. The then real estate mogul reportedly said, "No blind people are going to live in Trump Tower, just do it." Which is an awful thing to say, especially when your own interior designer is blind. And presumably your wife.
The Wendy's located inside of UT's Jester Residence Hall has now officially adopted its long-held nickname, Gendy's. In keeping with this theme, the Chick-fil-A on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard will be officially changing its name to Chick-fil-MLK. The Starbucks on 38th Street will be rebranding to Farbucks. And Kirby Lane Cafe will be henceforth known as All Night Drunken Queso Paradise.
White Castle has announced the release of their new Impossible Burger made entirely from plant-based ingredients. Because what you care about most when you're wasted in a White Castle at 3 in the morning is wholesome nourishment. Still, the Impossible Burger is well on its way to becoming White Castle patrons' second favorite plant-based substance.
In the fallout of Serena Williams' now famous outburst at the U.S. Open over unfair treatment from refs, umpire Carlos Ramos is leading a charge of other tennis officials in boycotting the tennis star, a historical event which can only justly be described as the umpire strikes back. Also, how do you work in tennis and boycott Serena Williams? You can't have tennis without Serena Williams. That's like Subway boycotting bread.
Stormy Daniels announced in an interview on The View last week that her tell-all book on the Trump scandal will be hitting shelves this October. You can find it in the erotica section under the title 50 Shades of Orange.
Taco Bell has officially been voted America's best Mexican restaurant. Yes, this is the worst electoral failure of the American populace since, and everybody say it with me, that's right, Sanjaya. Exactly. Taco Bell has been voted the best Mexican restaurant in America, which is kind of like awarding the best barbecue in Austin to Gendy's.
A new study has found that emotionally stable people tend to spend more money during the holiday season because nothing says emotionally stable quite like this.
Well, it seems that Beatlemania has struck the world once again in more ways than one. Paul McCartney has released the new album Egypt Station to critical acclaim. But an interview with GQ detailing the Beatles' sexcapades, including group masturbation sessions, seems to be making more headlines than his new album.
Here to talk about his interview and new album is Sir Paul McCartney.
Thanks for coming, Paul.
Is it that noticeable?
Okay, so Paul, about your GQ interview.
All right, I came onto the show to set the record straight. I'm incredibly horny.
What?
It's true. In the Beatles, we became the most famous people on Earth. So much so that sleeping with women became boring to us. So we settled with jerking each other off to keep the creative juices flowing.
Hold on, are you saying that these group masturbation sessions inspired your songs?
Of course they did. What else would these songs be about?
You know, like peace and love?
No, all these songs about wanking it.
Okay, not every Beatles song can be about masturbation. How about Here Comes the Sun?
The sun was our nickname for George's penis.
Wait, but what about the White Album?
What do you think the white was referring to?
Twist and Shout?
An orgasm.
It won't be long.
Until I ejaculate.
Come Together?
That was actually a campaign song John wrote for Timothy Leary when he was running for governor against Ronald Reagan.
Oh, I mean, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, then we jerked off John to congratulate him on such a well-written song.
All right, this is crazy. If you guys were so close that you masturbated together, why did the Beatles ever break up?
Man, numerous reasons. One is that Ringo wanted to masturbate more with us, which is why he sang, I get off with a little help from my friends. George wanted to have as much orgasms as me and John, which is why While My Guitar Gently Weeps refers to his penis. But most importantly, John married Yoko Ono. All of a sudden, she was jerking him off for us.
All right, let's stop talking about masturbation. How about we talk about your new album, Egypt Station?
All right. Well, the first single released, Come On To Me, is a letter to John wishing he would just one more time. And the other song, For You...
Okay, you know what? That's all the time that we have with Paul McCartney. Thank you so much for stopping by. Paul McCartney, everyone.
I'll see you guys at ACL when I'll be performing A Hard Day's Night in 2 different ways.
Okay. Paul McCartney, everyone.
Famed Watergate journalist and author Bob Woodward recently published his latest book, Fear, Trump in the White House, which exposes alarming details of the inner workings of the Trump administration. Woodward's book sold over 750,000 copies in its first day on the market. Said Trump, well, The Art of the Deal sold far better if you just deduct the millions of copies downloaded illegally. Freaking Audible.
Donald Trump's former campaign chairman Paul Manafort has agreed to cooperate in a plea deal with the Robert Mueller investigation. Manafort will now be joining the exclusive cohort of people publicly embarrassing the president, including Michael Cohen, Michael Flynn, George Papadopoulos, Carter Page, Rudy Giuliani, and of course, Eric.
A slew of damning accusations have come about against Supreme Court nominee and man doing his best impression of a lobster mating call, Brett Kavanaugh. Among other problems like excessive credit card debt and a possible gambling problem, Kavanaugh is now going to have to defend himself against allegations of sexual misconduct. Based on this line of evidence, we can infer that the justice was unaware that the phrase, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, is in fact not a legal statute.
This past weekend, Hurricane Florence barreled down on the East Coast, bringing massive flooding and destructive winds to the Carolinas. Locals are now gearing up for Florence's supporting backup storm, the Machine.
In a statement regarding the hurricane, President Trump said that the storm would be tremendously big and tremendously wet. But those in the storm's path can rest assured there will be no shortage of paper towels. Ironically, tremendously big and tremendously wet is also the title of Trump's own account of the Stormy Daniels affair.
And finally, it's been revealed that former White House counsel John Dowd called the president too dumb to testify in the Mueller investigation, giving him the advice, don't testify, it's either that or an orange jumpsuit. Orange jumpsuit coincidentally being how Stormy Daniels has described Trump's naked body. You can find the rest of the excruciating details in her next book on the affair, Tremendously Small and Needs Lube. For Late Night Review, I'm Kate Salkowitz.
I'm Jack Overbeck.
Good night.